So in today's video we're going to be featuring the Perennial Essence Vellum cardstock. Now I will be showing you how it's good to use later on in the video, but this is Ollie's take on what you're supposed to do with vellum cardstock. It makes a really good toy, doesn't it? It's all crackly, isn't it? It's fun, isn't it? There you go. So I think my director is, oh, well done, well cool. My director is somewhat distracted with his new toy. Isn't it funny, all the toys you've got downstairs to play with, and a bit of paper. Sorry, I didn't mean to hit you. I didn't mean to hit the cameraman. Right, we must get on, Ollie. We must get on. Here's the other bit over here, look. One more. Oops. I have to get down for them now. Right. Playtime is over. If you want them, you'll have to go on the floor. So, hi there, it's Anna Rosie Duck Designs here. Thanks ever so much for joining me. I have my trusty cameraman with me and my, as I say, somewhat distracted director. Today I'm going to share with you some ideas with the Bird Ballard Suite, primarily the card, laser cut cards, which are these here. Just before I start that, I just want to remind you that it is 29th of January, July, 29th of July. So there's literally 2 days left of the bonus days. So just a quick reminder, spend £45, excluding postage and packing, and you will receive a coupon via email for £4.50 to redeem in August. And you can have multiple spends. It's just in increments of £45. So last couple of days to take advantage of that. The other promotion that's currently ongoing is the signing up to become a demonstrator. That's running right through till the 31st of August. And instead of £130 worth of products for your £99 joining fee, you receive £155 of products of your choice, and a voucher for £8 in the month following when you join up. So you get to then another £8 on products that you would like, and that will expire on the 31st of October. So join in August, the coupon arrives in September, so you've got a good few weeks to decide how to spend it. So there are blog posts with all those details on them, and as usual my blog link will be on the front of the video. Just a thought that the autumn winter stroke holiday catalogue launches on the 4th of September. As demonstrators we can start to pre-order from the 1st of August, and if you sign up from that date you also get the opportunity to pick anything from that catalogue as well. So it might be a good time to think about giving it a try and seeing if it works for you. As I say, there are various blog posts on my blog, so give them a read, and I think that's all I want to say about that. 3 cheers from the cameraman. So we'll, oh, the camera, I'm talking to the wrong bit of the camera, okay, yeah. I think by now I'd have the hang of it, wouldn't you? I'm looking at you, darling, that's all. Okay, whatever. So the cards that I'm going to feature today are the Bird Ballard laser cut cards, which come in this very pretty tin. Come in a box, which makes them an ideal gift package really, if there's somebody that you know who enjoys making cards. There's 12 cards of each, 12 cards and 12 envelopes. Get that out of the way. They are all beautifully laser cut, and they're very vanilla on the outside, and it looks more like I think it carries through. Actually, it was looking a bit white suddenly, but I think it's the sunlight. So very vanilla. And these are the matching envelopes, which have got this lovely scallop design on the back of them. So that's what we're going to be using today. As I say, they are a great gift for yourself or for somebody else. And if you were thinking of using it as a gift, then you could always add a couple of packets of embellishments or something like that, just to make it an extra special gift. The tin, once all the cards are made, it's going to be ideal to keep the pre-made cards up. Oh, let's try that one again. It's going to be an ideal card once you've made the cards up. Now I'm getting totally tongue-tied. Sorry. It's going to be a really good tin, this is what I'm trying to say, to keep the cards once you've made them up in. But once all the cards have been sent and given away, then you've got a lovely tin to use for whatever. Quite a good jewellery tin, or to put some crafting bits and pieces in. So, I'm getting somewhat distracted by the game of football that's going on around my feet. So, I'll put this in a minute. So this is the card that we're going to have a go and make today. So I'm using one of the laser cut cards, and I'm also using with that the Free as the Bird stamp set, which comes from the Bird Ballard Suite. So firstly, I'm going to take a fresh card, and I'm using the Perennial Essence Vellum cardstock with this, and that is £10.25, and it features the colours of Old Olive, So Saffron and Petal Pink, which actually work really well with the very vanilla of the laser cut card. Seriously? Excuse the bed that's in a very bad condition, but that's what happens when you have cats. So I've cut a piece. The actual card itself is 5.5 inches by 4.25 inches. So I want a piece of vellum which is slightly smaller than that. So I need a piece that is 5 7/16 by 4.25. I think, no, 4 3/16. I've actually got two pieces of paper here, and one is slightly smaller than the other. So it's this bigger one. So just to clarify, that is 5 7/16 by 4 3/16, and that is literally just going to fit onto the back there, so that you've got this lovely element of colour showing through all the laser cut detail that's on the front of the card. If you've seen my previous videos using this, you will know that I've mentioned there are actually two sides to this. There's the front side, and then there's the back of the paper, which if you look very carefully, particularly in this sort of light, you can see there is a difference. There is a bright side and a duller side. So that is the side that is actually the back. So we want this brighter side to be the one that we're using. So there's not a lot of space, as you can see, to attach that to the card. So what I'm going to use is some glue dots. Had enough of that? Are you coming up to join us? Probably safer up there, aren't you? Rather you didn't knock the tin over there. They're going to make a big noise. So I'm just peeling off some glue dots. I'm sure there's a much more professional way of doing this, but I'm kind of, if it works, I'll try and change it. So I'm just taking that off with my fingers, and what I'm trying to do is just stretch the glue dot as much as I possibly can along the side of the base card. I'm going to put one in the middle, I'm going to put another one at the end here, glue dots are great for vellum because anything that you stick onto vellum, like in the way of glue, is going to show through. So the glue dots, being so minute, work really well because you don't see hardly any evidence of them whatsoever. Will the exercise tide you out, Ollie? It's a bit warm for running around, I have to say, although nothing as bad as last week. I know we shouldn't moan about the summer weather, but it was a bit hot, wasn't it? So there's no way of speeding this up really, I'm afraid. But I'm just trying to get the most surface out of the glue dot that I possibly can, just to make sure that the vellum can't become detached from the back of the card. And when you try and hurry it, that's when you get all your fingers stuck together. Just a tip. Putting the last one on there. Now you could have used fine glue. You could even, I guess, if you can get hold of some double-sided tape that's that thin, you could use that. I have to say that the glue dots work well for me. So, oh, I didn't mean to do that, did I? You can have that later. It's probably a bit dangerous. So what I'm also going to do to make sure that it doesn't become detached is I'm going to stick some snail in the middle of the vellum, and that's going to be on the right side of it, because this bit is what I'm going to cover with these little birds that I'm going to stamp out. Now, attaching the vellum to the card, you want to make sure that you don't impede at all on that crease of the back of the card. So start placing your vellum on there. It's a very tight fit, I have to say. It's not helped when you stick your nail to it either. So just smooth it down gently. And if you've got a tiny bit there that's overlapping, there's no reason why you can't just take a pair of craft scissors and just trim that. And making sure that the card folds flat. If you do it the other way, and I am speaking from experience, if you line it up with this one, this edge, you can find yourself going over that fold of the card, and then it sort of bunches it all up and you have to very carefully start again. So just a tip, start from the fold of the card and work downwards. So that's our card basically completed, and we want to now do some stamping. I can find my stamps. There we go. So I'm using the for his bird stamp set. Oops. Something for later. I'm using that with my E-block. And I'm going to stamp the design out with Sahara sand. Now I have already pre-stamped out and coloured in what I'm actually going to use on the card, but I just wanted to share a little bit of what we're doing with this rather than sort of make you sit through the whole thing of me colouring it in. So I'm using some blends, and I'm basically using them more as colouring tools rather than blending tools. So I've got the light crumb cake, and I'm just going to use that on the branch. Now I'm using the thin nib rather than the blending nib. I think they have special names, but they escape me for the moment. But this one is very fine, and you can really get into the design that you're trying to colour in very easily. I've got some Granny Green Apple, the light version of that. I'm just going to put that on the leaves. And say, I'm not going to do all of this one. I was prepping this card earlier, and I don't work in here normally because, one, it's quite bright and it can get quite hot with the sunlight, and you also can't walk out and leave anything because the cats have access in here. But I was sort of struggling to colour it in, and then I realised one of the lights had gone, so that's a job for this afternoon. It's actually easier colouring in when you can see what you're doing. It's not taking me half as long. Anyway, that's the general gist of that, the idea of what we're doing with that. Also, the old olive worked quite well as well, which is the one I've used on this card. So then we get some little flowers, and I've got a dark daffodil, I've got the light daffodil. Oops. Daffodil Delight. So again, I'm picking out just a few of the little flowers. And this is a light Calypso Coral. Got here, Flirty Flamingo. Have some of that up here. And of course, no flower would be complete without some Wink of Stella. So let's have a go at some birds. Now with the birds, I'm using a mixture of the fine end and the more blending end of the pen. I'll have to Google it and find out what I'm actually supposed to be calling it. give them all some yellow beaks. So I've got some Petal Pink here, and I'm going to use the blending this end. So I'm actually going to be flooding it more with the ink, which is alcohol based, and it is that texture that makes it more, it makes it blendable. Just a note of caution, you don't want to be using this or blender pens with stays on ink. It's working well with the normal ink pads, and it works well with Memento because it's water based. If you put alcohol based ink with alcohol blends, they just all blend together. So I've got some Flirty Flamingo here. There we can have a little bit of pool party with that one. And we can have some crumb cake. Totally convinced with that one. A bit more Flirty Flamingo back with this one, I think. And so the choice is yours. Have a little bit of green on this bird. Blue and yellow does make green, so we need to be quite careful mixing those two together. We don't actually want them blending. So we've got a set of different coloured birds there. All the blends are listed in the catalogue, and they are available as either light, dark, or as a combination pack. And well worth having. They're really good colouring tools. So what I've next done is I've used my layering ovals to cut out the birds, and I've used the largest crinkled one. Now it won't fit the entire stamp, so it's just a matter of picking out the bit that you want to have. So you could go with all of the flowers there, you could cut that bit off and just have that bit. Maybe not cut the bird's beak off, not a good look really, but somewhere in the middle, so you've got all your birds and you've got most of your flowers and you've got the branch. So you just run that through the big shot, which you finish up with this, and then using the largest one of the smooth ovals, I've just cut out a coordinating piece of card. So in this one I was using the Petal Pink Vellum, so I've used a Petal Pink backing card. With this one we've got So Saffron, so I've just cut out a piece of So Saffron card using that die. Put those to one side. Now the reason I wanted that, it would work on there, just on its own, and you probably won't see it, in all honesty, although you can just see it. When you blend, you use the blends, if you notice they're quite, I don't know quite what the word is, but yeah, they sort of quite juicy, full of ink, so the ink actually comes through the back. So that is going to show up potentially through the vellum, which you don't necessarily want people to be able to see when they open their card. So by putting this backing piece on it, you're sort of hiding that piece of all that excess ink that's come through the back. So, but because I wanted as much of the 25 minutes already. It's amazing, isn't it, where time goes? Because I wanted as much of the stamp as I possibly could, there isn't going to be very much of the backing card showing. So I'm going to stick some snail on the back here. And then it's just a matter of, she said, placing it so that you can just see a little tiny bit of the backing card through the crinkled edge. And of course it's never going to work on camera, is it? We all know that. But we do our best. That's not too bad. And all I'm going to do with that is stick it on to my card using some Stampin' Dimensionals. Now you can add your sentiment to the base of the card. You can also add any additional stamping that you want to add to it, or you can make it that bit more special, which I will go into once I've stuck this on. So I'm just going to put that over the centre. Just trying to line that up because you've got these sort of little circly bits with the 3 leaves. So if you line it up with that, you more or less guaranteed that you're getting it in the centre. That's the finished card. So if you can see that with the up against the light, you see how the light is shining through the vellum, which makes it very pretty and picks up this laser cut images of the card. So I need an envelope out of my tin. I would have liked the stamp block that's gone on the floor, but we'll improvise. So I'm just going to use stamp labels has come off. I'm just going to use this stamp, and I'm going to use a tiny bit of washi tape as well, just to keep it on the block. I'm having trouble with this one. I know, it's a pain, isn't it? Never mind. So all I'm going to do is just add a little bit of detail to my envelope using the larger of the 2 flower stamp sets. So one in the corner, just one on the back there, and that is the Saffron ink, which will then coordinate with the inside colours. I'm going to get that straight off my block. Yeah, okay, I'll leave that up there. I didn't bring my cleaner in with me. So that is essentially the card. But if you wanted to make it a little bit more special, it's now 30 minutes, yeah. You can add another layer of vellum on the inside, which is what I've done with this card, and then I've added a piece of very vanilla cardstock on top of that, so that I can add my design, I can add my message, or I could add a sentiment onto that. And basically, I won't stick this on now, but this was 5 and 6/16 by 4 and 2/16. So that was the vellum, and then the cardstock, the very vanilla cardstock, was 5 by 3 3/4. So giving you a reasonable edge around it so that you can actually see the vellum, because if you can't see it, there's not really much point putting it on there. And all you would do is just stick that on the base, add your sentiment to whatever you want and whatever design you want, and then just stick that in the middle. Now I may or I may not do that, I'm not really sure, but there's two options there. It would be nice if you were perhaps using this for an anniversary card or a special occasion card, where you just want to add that little bit of extra detail. So that's basically an idea to use with the Bird Ballard laser cut cards. Just one final thing before I go, with the blends. There is a colour lifter with the blends. So you're putting on your ink, and it's very easy to go over the line. Well, not very easy, but if you're not being careful. And we do have a colour lifter, and you just run that over the area that you've gone over where you didn't want to go, and it's soaking that area with alcohol, and then you let it dry. You see how it's taken off some of the pull party there. Let it dry and keep going over it. And no, it's not going to be perfect, but in reality, can you see very much that I coloured that in blue by mistake? You've really got to turn that to the line. By the time you put on the pull party back onto the bird, and you put on the colouring for your branch, which I can't find for the moment. I've lost my crumb cake. There we go. So we stick the crumb cake on here. Carefully add some more pull party in there. That's not a bad rescue job, is it? So if you're into blends, or you're thinking about getting into blends and haven't got one of these colour lifters, definitely well worth adding to your collection crafting things. So I think that's it for today. That's quite short for me, isn't it? And yeah, so normal links, shop, blog, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, etc. will be on the front. If you fancy giving a go of signing up as a demonstrator, then the link to join my team will also be on the front, and the contact me button if you would like to join my mailing list, or if you would like me to send you a copy of the new autumn winter catalogue, which I will be sending out towards the end of, or a middle stroke end of August. So I think that's it. I'm not really sure what I'm going to be back with next time. I've got a couple of things going around in my head at the moment with ideas, so it'll be a surprise. So in the meantime, thanks ever so much for joining me, and from Ollie and myself, and of course my cameraman, who's done an amazing job once again. I will see you again very soon. If you'd like to subscribe to my channel, please do so. All that means that you'll get told or notified when I've uploaded the video. You get the opportunity to watch it or not. If you've enjoyed this video, then if you'd like to give me a thumbs up, that would also be great. And you can also subscribe to my blog as well, so that keeps you up to date with what I'm up to and all things that are happening in the world of Stampin' Up. So that's it for now, and I will see you again very soon. Bye.